high level, what's happening and what's going on in the industry? Where do you see this moving forward?
I like to introduce myself as a failed agency owner or failed agency CEO.
What actually prompted you to join these guys, and what was like the vision?
I jumped at the opportunity because I knew that HighLevel was going to be the tool that every agency and every marketer wanted.
What was it like to join HighLevel, and what was the journey like once you actually started working with them overall?
From day one, we've been profitable, and it's been really cool journey to be a part. We want to build a great company, and we want to be able to pay people well and give people benefits.
So walk us through the playbook of marketing a software profitably in 2024 and moving forward.
The key to hopscotching growth is to find audiences of your potential customers that already exist.
What would be the number one advice you would give yourself?
Kid, that voice that you hear, it's a good one.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody who's actually listening to this podcast right now? First of all, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? We're back with another amazing guest. The guest is actually jumping on is a very interesting dynamic. I mean, we have seen a lot of entrepreneurs, who actually come up and build business from scratch. And we are talking about a true journey where you have built a software company from an idea to a true vision, where it's impacting millions of people. And this is probably one of the most buzzed around marketing keyword, and we use it a lot personally in our own company. Most of our clients signed up for it through us overall. So that's a great opportunity for our business, for additional revenue and whatnot. And this is not just stopping with us. Last time when I checked, they had over 30,000 agencies working with them and 3+ million users actively using their software. That just boggles my mind. And I'm privileged to say that I'm actually also invited as a speaker for the event, which is going to happen very soon. I'm talking about none other than the HighLevel Summit. And today we have Director of Product Marketing, Mr. Chase Buckner from HighLevel. Hey, Chase.
Hey, how's it going?
Going great. Good to see you here, brother.
I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Chase, we will definitely talk about the high level, what's happening and how do you, take care of marketing and all the product updates and what's going on in the industry. Where do you see this moving forward? All of that good stuff. But before that, talk us through Chase's journey. How did Chase started? What was his childhood like? How did you end up in HighLevel? What was it like for you to actually get to where you are right now?
For sure. So I like to introduce myself as a failed agency owner or failed agency CEO. I was a successful agency COO. And in that agency, we were actually one of the very first HighLevel customers. And so when we found the product, I spent about a month just sort of building out SOPs for our team so that we could start onboarding our clients into HighLevel moving forward. And during that process, I was working pretty closely with Varun and Sean. Through that process, it was kind of like, hey, all of our customers are going to want these types of things that you're creating. Would you consider joining the team? And so I jumped at the opportunity because I knew that HighLevel was going to be the tool that every agency and every marketer wanted. So my journey to HighLevel, and it's been everything I imagined it would be, to be honest, since that day.
Yeah, I mean, the ride of HighLevel is very, very exciting and interesting. And I'm happy to be a part of the ride as well. I mean, one of the things, I don't know how these leaders have done it. I mean, I've seen a lot of tech founders and they're kind of a little bit arrogant and, they're always talking about the funding or the next investor round or number of users and all of that stuff. But I've interviewed all the 3 co-founders of HighLevel and these guys are grounded. They are sticking to the ground, making sure like I see Sean making videos every day where the product updates. He responds in Facebook group. Varun is very well connected with me. He takes direct feedback on the product if I ever give it. And Robin, does the same thing. And it's so exceptional. Not just that. I want to add here something which is very interesting. I have actually been to an event around software in Bangalore when I was in India. Now I'm in Dubai, where I actually met high-level developers. I'm talking about one of the first developers you guys had. I'm talking about Nikunj and
I was going to say, was it Nikunj?
Yeah, it was Nikunj. Yeah, it was Nikunj. And, oh my God, the passion I've seen in him talking about HighLevel. And now I realize wow, this is what it takes to build a company where you're product focused. I mean, he was talking as if it was his baby. He was yeah, I was the first, the first lines of CRM code is written by me. I was like, wow, this is what it takes to build an exceptional team. So tell me, like, what actually prompted you to join these guys, and what was like the vision like? What was your thought process? So, failed agency, you're good at operation, but why did you even decide to come to this route of like, getting into the role which you are in right now?
Yeah, so I it was it was pretty interesting, right? Because I think agencies that get to like the seven-figure mark, like we did, we were doing
Mm-hmm.
about 88,000 a month, I think, when I left the team at the agency.
Mm-hmm.
I think a pretty classic part of that journey is you get to a point with your clients where you're like, we can only hit a certain level of results because we are using so many different tools and tying them together. If we could have a tool where this was all in one place, we could take things even further. Should we build that tool? And I think a
Mm.
lot of agencies ask themselves that question at some point.
Yeah.
And we were primarily a WordPress shop, so we built thousands of WordPress sites for clients over the years. And our dev team were all WordPress devs, and they were smart and humble enough to say, "We are not full stack developers. You guys have no idea what you're talking about building this all-in-one marketing tool. It's going to cost a
Mm.
fortune, and we don't have the expertise to do that. This is a bad idea."
Mm.
And so, luckily, we heeded their advice, and we did not do that. But we went out looking for a tool, right? Like, surely somebody has to be working on this. And we
Mm.
actually did find a tool that was sort of the same premise of HighLevel. And so we actually set it up for a couple of clients, and it was very buggy. It wasn't working very well. And I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if we can fully invest in this. And
Mm.
the guy who was building it was having an event in Miami. So I was like, Matt, who's my partner at the agency, let me fly up to Miami, talk to these guys, see who they are, see what their vision is, and try to get an idea of like whether or not this is a smart bet. So I went
Mm.
there, quickly realized that they were in over their heads. They had no idea what they were doing. They'd never built software before. They were not engineers. The guy
Mm.
was like a real estate guy. It was just red flags left and right. So I went back and I was like, Matt, we got to pull out of the software. This is not going to be what we'd hoped. But I
Mm.
met an agency owner at that event, and I kept in touch with him. And then he told me, "Hey, we're going to try this thing called HighLevel." And I was like, "What's that?" He connected me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the founders are engineers." And then Robin entered the picture as a third founder, and he was an agency owner. So I was like, "Okay, the three founders are two engineers and an agency owner. Now we're talking." And
Mm.
that's really where my confidence came in, because I was like, "Okay, this is the team." Like you said, these guys are really down to earth and humble, and I know their premise is going to be what every marketer like me wants and needs. So this is going to be a rocket
Mm.
ship. And so, yeah, it was a no brainer for me when I got the opportunity to join the team.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely inspiring, right? I mean, when you see like true vision and you want to have that vision achieved so badly, you can't stop yourself from contributing to it, right? And that's what exactly happened here. Chase, that is so nice to actually know. Kind of walk us through how did you like how was the first initial working experience? I know like these guys were basically like scraping from nothing. So, I mean, this company, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, is still bootstrapped overall. So what was it like? How skeptic were you? I believe you already were like, in a comfortable situation in your agency, especially from income level. What was it like to join HighLevel, and what was the journey like once you actually started working with them overall?
It was awesome, to be honest, and it was really a breath of fresh air because, again, I think you nailed it when you said a lot of most startups are in that mindset of, what do I need to do to get to the point to raise money? And then how do I raise another round? And then how do I raise another
Mm,
round? And then how do we
especially
IPO?
software. Yeah.
Especially software. Sean and Robin and Varun were the opposite. They were like, we want to build a great company, and we want to be able to pay people well and give people benefits and build something that we're all proud of, something that actually makes money, like a real business.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so from day one, we've been profitable. It's been really cool journey to be a part of, because in the beginning, when I got hired, I was like, look, guys, you can just tell me where I'll be of most use, and that's what I'll do. And so I've
Mm.
built and been a part of several different teams over the past 5 years. I mean,
I
in
can
the
expect.
early days, I used to do the onboarding every day for an hour. I would onboard whoever had signed up that day or that week.
Wow.
And but when I then moved into a role of marketing, when we first formed the marketing team officially, I was reporting directly to Sean, and
Mm.
it was just so cool to see. Sean didn't care about anything that's like traditional marketing stuff. It was like, I don't want to talk about paid ads. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. we're going to grow through the only proven way, which is recommendations and affiliates. And so that's where we spent all of our time. So we basically, I created our podcast because we both
Hmm.
agreed that the easiest yes to get is when you ask somebody to be on your podcast, right?
Hmm.
We're all super vain, and it feels great to be invited onto somebody's show. And so literally all Sean and I did for 2 years was invite people on our show and then try to get on their show. And we did, I think, 100 webinars that first year or podcasts, and then we did 200 the second year. And we just kept doing that, building this network of people where we could get in front of them, show them what we were doing, and then they would
Hmm.
see the vision, fall in love with it, become an affiliate. And it just was this really organic growth. I mean, there was paid money in the affiliate channel, obviously, but um, it's very different than the way most companies are built. And when we
Yeah.
talk to other people, they can't even comprehend it, right? And it just seems like such
Yeah.
hard work that they wouldn't be willing to do. And yeah, it's the truth, right? It's just hard work of outreach. Can we do a webinar together? We'd love to have you on our show. By the way, can we show you what we're up to? And it was just hundreds and hundreds of those conversations that created the growth.
Yeah. What a hustle, brother. That is so interesting. I mean, the traditional software, like people who are listening, they might already know, which is raise money, know your lifetime value, make sure that your CAC is
Hack,
closer to lifetime value, and
ROAS,
then just like
it's
pump ads.
all
Yeah.
that. And that's all just a big, I'll never forget when I first joined at Sean, we were having a chat and he was like, we were talking about some other big softwares at the time or whatever. And he's like, Chase, you know that none of them make money, right? And I was like, what? And he was like, 99% of software don't actually make money, right? They just raise money and then they burn it through ads and sales teams until they can hopefully get enough traction or users to raise more money. And when I realized that and saw the truth of that, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
It is.
The entire industry is just like this subsidized mess,
It's a
really. And
fugazi, yeah, yeah, and it is value one of the highest multiples in the market, and even in the public market. And that was like, the PE doesn't exist, but they still get crazy values. And I'm like, what? You can add AI to your name and get 20x.
yeah, exactly. So
You can
it's
call
been
your
really
company software, yeah, and
it's
get
been really
10x.
amazing to be a part of a team that has built a company to the size that we're at,
Mm,
bootstrapped profitably, and
yeah,
we like to, we're not just a unicorn, we're I forget what they call it, like a centaur or something, where it's like you do a certain amount of revenue, but you're also profitable. And there are only like, I
profit.
don't know, I think like
Yeah,
50
yeah.
companies in the world or whatever that meet the criteria.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all sort of crazy names in the startup, especially SaaS startup ecosystem. We can't keep up with the new names coming up, but a unicorn is like a definitely buzzword overall. I think you're more of a profit con, billion-dollar profitable company. That's very rare in the
That's
software
the real
industry
goal,
for
right?
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, love that hustle. I mean, it's so astonishing to see what you guys have achieved and following the first rule of entrepreneurship, using what you have. You have the passion for the product and you could build the product, and that's what you've done. You talked about it, you built it, you talked about it, you built it by taking feedback. I mean, there's feedback you guys have, the loop in high level ecosystem. I love that overall. I've never seen that type of feedback loop. Like I could mention Sean, like, hey, this is what I need. And he's like, great, added it. I'm like, what? Like, like, how is that even possible? Same with Nikon. Like, hey, can you get this payment thing? He's like, yep, added it. I'm like, whoa. And it's live in 3 weeks. And they tell me, like, hey, it's live now. You could go. I'm like, what? In 3 weeks? I couldn't get my own internal team to do something in 3 weeks. Like, how are you guys even able to comprehend? So, okay, let's talk about this, Chase. I'm curious. Last time when I talked, you guys have like, I don't know, 200 plus developers. Isn't that like a mega developing team? How big are you guys right now? And how do you maintain culture in such a big developing team? And, like I've
Yeah.
hired developers and I try to build a software company. I lost $500,000 doing it. And I know the pain of it, especially when you're not a technical founder, it's just crazy. So I'm curious, how do you guys manage that?
Yeah. So I think in total, we're like over, I think we're like 1,200, 1,300 employees, somewhere around there, I think. And
Wow.
a couple hundred of
Growing
them are
so
developers.
fast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's awesome, right? But what we're building is an all-in-one tool, right? So we're really,
Hmm.
when you think about it, 10, 15, 20 software companies in one. And so to really achieve that goal, you need a lot of engineers. So,
Hmm.
the product set is kind of divvied out around sort of 7 areas, and each of those areas is basically its own software team. And but it has been amazing to see how that team has grown, and the culture that it's grown in and under. And all the credit to Varun and Sean and Robin. You should see, it's so cool. So basically every morning at, like, I'm in mountain time, and so like 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. typically, we have product calls, and each call is a different product team, and they're talking about what they're releasing and what they're going to start working on and all that stuff. A lot of the conversations get passionate, I would say, right? But I have never in 5 years heard anybody cross a line. We can have heated conversations and disagree with each other and this and that, but like, the culture is so strong. I've never heard anybody disrespect someone. I've never heard anybody say anything appropriate to somebody else. Like, there's such a
Wow.
mutual level of respect on this team, which is crazy because the people in this room are so smart, right? And so, but yet, like me, I'm not an engineer. I have the freedom to ask questions that, some of them are probably like, oh my gosh, dude, like so dumb. But like, nobody would say that, right? They're like, oh, we totally understand where you're coming from, but this is actually the way that it works, and da 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 da. So it's been really impressive, and a blessing, honestly, to be around such smart but humble and grounded
Hmm.
professional people. It's really been
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I think after 20 people, like maintaining that culture in the roots of the company is very tough. Like, you gotta have like consistent efforts and reminding people why they're doing what they're doing to kind of get that effort. And I believe the leaders of the company, including yourself, who are involved in the company day-to-day operations, are doing such a good job to maintain that ethos between the company. And I believe that translates in your customer success, that translates in your marketing, that translates in the community you guys have built. It's just it's just nuts. I love this overall. Yeah, I'm curious, Chase, if you could walk us through how was the journey like. I mean, you're taking a product which, back in 2020, 2019, you're just like getting into the actual hands of agency owners who would probably refer you and get you more customers in the future. But there was definitely like few things which weren't that great. Like the product wasn't to the point where it is right now and whatnot. Like, I actually looked at it, I was like, wow, sounds like amazing, but doesn't look like I could use it today kind of situation is how I actually missed out on the opportunity of getting early on HighLevel. So I wasn't on board immediately once I see it. So I'm curious, what was it like to push it? Walk us through the different challenges you have had to push the market and get the feedback, and what was it like in the initial journey?
Yeah. Great question. It's been awesome for me, right? Because I come from our Prime Avatar base, right? Like, I am our Prime Avatar customer. And
Mm,
so it was, I've always sort of thought a part of my role is to be the voice of our customer, of that avatar. So
mm,
it's given me the freedom to be very vocal when I see something that's wrong or not the way that I would want to use it if I were still running an agency, which has been so much fun, right? Because we build for marketers and agencies, and because you can white label HighLevel, there are certain things that our customers want that's a little bit different the way it's done in most other softwares, right? And so
mm,
oftentimes a team would be getting ready to go build something, and they're just mapping it to the way that it already exists in the market. And then I get the opportunity to jump in and be like, whoa, wait, yeah, that's, they sell directly to the end customer. We don't. We sell to agencies, and agencies want it actually a little bit different. They want it like this. And
mm,
so those moments have been really fun to be a part of, because that's what separates us from those other softwares, right? And so there's been a lot of really cool moments like that over the past couple of years. And it's fun to be able to say, like, no, 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 trust me, like, when was the last time any of you actually used the system to send an email? Like, we do it every day. Like, trust me, this is the way it should work. uh, so
Interesting.
it's great. And we literally use the product every day, right? So it's when something new rolls out, we use it immediately, and we know immediately what we got right and what we got wrong. And then we also have
Mm,
the ideas board, like you mentioned. So everything, not everything, most things in the roadmap come from what gets voted up to the top of that area in the ideas board. So I haven't seen many other companies do it like that either, and it's pretty awesome. Like you said, if once something gets a couple hundred votes and it becomes the next thing, you can expect to see it in 3 to 5 weeks, right? And or at
Yeah.
least the first version of it. And so yeah, it's been pretty cool to
I
see
mean,
us be able
you
to
guys
deliver
are
like that.
playing a very smart game, Chase. I mean, it's like you cannot go wrong. Like you're not spending crazy on customer acquisition. You're hiring the best talented developers, and you're keeping your ears to the ground and listening to what people want and building accordingly. And yes, there are gaps every time, just like any other company, but you're working towards it and you're making it better and better. No reason like why would you like it's obvious why you're on the top of the chain right now, so happy to kind of see where you guys are heading towards. So where do you kind of see the high level movement moving forward? I mean, when I asked this question, I got different responses from different founders. Like
Mhm.
Sean was talking about, like, hey, this would be like the OS for marketing, like, like we're not even in the software business, we are like creating this operating system, basically for all the agencies to build. Where do you see this overall, like, ultimately in the long run?
It's so hard to say, right? Because we are building in a couple of different directions. To Sean's point, it's really cool that pretty much everything that we launches with an API as well. So it
Hmm.
has, in a way, become an OS that people build on top of, which is amazing. And the app marketplace has really spun up over the past couple of months, which is incredible. So now in app, you can discover add ons that were built by third party folks from the community. And then next, that will open up for the website and the funnel builder so that those builders can start building apps or, let's say, plugins for the website builder. And once that happens, it's basically like a WordPress ecosystem, right, for the builders. And so I do agree with Sean. I think that it will, for a lot of folks, become an OS or maybe like a headless sort of CRM marketing platform, which is amazing. But at the same time, we're also going to keep pushing to literally be a world class marketing CRM. And I think, for example, the custom objects rolling out is sort of the last missing piece if you're going to compare the CRM side of HighLevel to like a HubSpot or a Salesforce. And
Yeah.
so that's going to roll out any day. And as that evolves and becomes mature, I think, there's nothing that you won't really be able to do in HighLevel at that point.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. Yeah, you guys have built a very interesting infrastructure, one of the smartest infrastructures I have seen, especially when it comes to the building blocks of the software itself. And I was talking to, like, NASA, Naran Islami, and Nikunj, and a lot of other whenever I need something, they're like, hey, here's the documentation, here's the API, let's get your developer into Slack, let's go. I was like that's
Yeah.
up, like I like it, and you guys are building something really really incredible. I mean, I can vouch for it because I've been seeing how it actually transformed from the version which I got in my hands to what it is right now. Like yesterday, Sean given another update where the front end is 25% more faster now, and I was like, whoa, like finally I can wait less
Yeah.
time on the CRM. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
a lot more things definitely happening in the go.
I
uh
mean,
I'm
honestly,
kind of.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
always in awe. I honestly think we got, in a way, so lucky because, again, I'm not an engineer, right? But over the past couple of years, we've hired some amazing engineers, right? We're now taking them from big companies. These are world class devs, and still, every now and then, when I'm hanging out with the devs, I ask them like, "Well, who's the best engineer?" Right? And the answer is still unanimously Varun. So in a way, somehow we got lucky that one of our co-founders is literally one of the best devs in the world. I just every day I'm like, man, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know, because Sean is the first to admit he's the opposite. He's like, I'm not even allowed to touch the code anymore. Like, I'm not a very good
Yeah.
engineer. But somehow Varun is, and so I think, again, we're just super super lucky the way that it all worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a conversation with him. Varun was an incredible guy, like very technical, straight to the point, no fluff. Like he is building something exceptional, and he completely believes in it. And I think that is a different type of conviction you have when you believe in what you're building. Most software developers are overpaid and are under passionate about building the product they're building, and that's why we see a lot of bugs and a lot of development cycles and a lot more resources going into the waste. But as the leader is standing in the front line and fixing the product every day, I think that definitely motivates a lot of people to keep doing. Definitely. Chase, walk us through a few strategies which can actually work for software companies to go the untraditional, like not very traditional route to actually acquire customers. I mean, you're given away the playbook a little bit, which is talking to partners, getting them to do affiliate. You talk about your product on that podcast and doing a podcast swap and whatnot. But what else? I believe podcast swaps can definitely get you a momentum, to go from 0 to 1. But now you guys have like what, millions of users, using the platform. So I assume there is something else which we haven't seen. So walk us through the playbook of marketing a software profitably in 2024 and moving forward.
I mean, I think I'll double down on the first answer. No matter what your
Mm,
business is, the key to like hopscotching growth is to find audiences of your potential customers that already exist and get in front of those
mm,
audiences, right? So people that run Facebook groups in your industry, people that run podcasts in your industry, these folks already have the reach that you're trying to get. So you need to
mm,
figure out how to get in front of that leader and do something together so that they're willing to put you in front of their audience. And again, for us, the easiest way to do that is for you to create your own show and invite them on because they're going to say yes. And then after you're done recording, we would typically chit chat and say we would love to do something with you in front of your audience, right? And at that point, you kind of have to, otherwise you're a jerk, right? Because we brought you on our show, like you're not going to
yeah.
bring us on your show, and that works really, really well. And it can work for anybody in any industry, right? Like there are podcasts about everything. There are YouTube channels about everything. Like you just gotta
Mm,
somehow, provide value to the person running that so that they're willing to co-market something with you. And
mm,
so I think that still holds true as the tried and true tactic that we've proven that takes a lot of time and effort, but it works. I think aside from that, it's passion. I think having people like me on this team that comes from the customer base that really loves the product, it just shines through everything that we do, right? When I come and do a podcast with you, I just naturally gush about the product because I use it every day. I love it. And so I think it's about finding those sort of evangelists within your community, trying to
mm,
hire them. If you can't hire them, create some sort of incentivization for them, like an affiliate program or whatever. But you got to get passionate people out there telling your story because when it's just you, it doesn't really resonate, right? It's like, of course, you're going to say it's the greatest thing ever. It's your product or whatever. So I mean, that's kind of like what we've always done is just focused on getting in front of other communities, but then also focus on making as much noise as we can about the product and what it does and why we love it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, if you saw our ad spend, you'd probably be shocked at how little we spend in ads for, the amount of
I can
revenue that we
expect.
make.
You do retargeting only, right?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, we don't really spend a ton of money on ads. We let our affiliates bid on our ad terms. So they basically buy ads on our behalf. And I
I
guess
love
that's
that.
another key piece of advice is to like price your products high enough to have margin for affiliates. And I think
Mm,
that's a situation that a lot of folks that look at us and go, "Oh, let's do that." And
mm,
then they're like, oh, we can't. There's not enough margin to cut other
mm.
people in on this. And you're sort of
Yeah,
screwed from the get-go. So yeah, if I were
yeah.
starting again today, I would say make sure you price your product high enough to be able to pay margin to promoters and uh and then try to find those groups.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful advice. And I think this is a smart playbook instead of just going nuts on advertising spend and hoping that the free trials, convert into paid customers and hopefully it doesn't live. This is a much smarter playbook because you're leading with education and transformation before you get them to work with you, which is pretty smart. I love that. And I would love to go through like a sequence of questions, but before that, I am curious. What do you love about high level? I mean, you have worked in different stuff, obviously ran your own agency and got into the operations store and whatnot, and agency is a different hustle, and now in high level, what keeps you motivated, what keeps you excited, why do you show up?
It's when you can get yourself in a position where you're not the smartest person in the room. That's very exciting and motivating, to be honest,
Oh
for
yeah,
me,
lot to
because
learn. Yeah.
yeah, there's that like expression if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room or whatever, right? And
Mm,
and that just every day I know that I'm going to learn something from my colleagues. And the other part is again, going back to the culture that Sean and Robin and Varun have built, which is the permission to fail, and there is no standard of perfection, right? Like the we have this mantra, it's called the skateboard mentality, basically, where most software companies spend a lot of time building something to where they think it's as good as it can be, and then they put it out, right? They release it. Whereas we're the opposite. As soon as we can give you the least functioning variation of that thing, the MVP of it, we're going to put it out. And then we call that a skateboard. And then we let the community tell us, okay, does this need to turn into a bicycle? Does it need to become a motorcycle? Or does this need to be built out into like a Ferrari?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and I've been surprised over the years, I would say 7 times out of 10, it never has to go past a motorcycle. Because the truth is,
So
most
true.
softwares, 80% of their users only use 20% of the features, right? And so it's proven to be a very smart mantra. The flip side of that is you're moving very quickly, often too quickly for the team, right? So a lot of times things roll out and there's not even help doc for it yet.
Mm.
And that can put the support team in a tough spot. So there's a balance to play that game, but I think
Mm.
net, it's proven to be a very smart way to go because it's so exciting, right? Like our customers
Yeah.
literally see 5 new things, 10 new things roll out every day.
Yeah.
And it's
Can't
like,
keep
yeah,
up.
there's no support doc yet, but like go play with it and let us know what you think. Um, and that type of environment is really fun to be a part of, right? Where you have that freedom to, we kind of say, what do we call it? Like, just always be taking directionally correct, imperfect action. And we all
Mm.
sort of operate under that mentality. It's like, okay, I'm not 100% sure this is right, but I think it's accurately right. And I'm just going to do something and we'll see if that was a good idea or not. But it's way better than sitting here and just like planning and thinking and strategizing. It's like, no, let's just go do something and see if it works. And so it's fun to be a part of that.
I love that, Chase. I mean, this is very, very, very like not traditional. Like people need like I want to just stress out. Like I work closely with multiple software companies, and they want to build a Boeing first before they do a test trial if it flies. Like they want to build the entire infrastructure first, but you guys are opposite. Like, hey, let's just build a skateboard and let's see if it moves from point A to point B, and let's see if we even want to build more resources. So very smart resource allocation, and I think customer obsession is the ultimate key for you to be able to achieve that. That's so nice. Let's get to the next question, Chase. Walk
Mhm.
us through the typical tools do you use on a daily basis. I mean, obviously HighLevel, but other than that, what other tools do you use on a daily basis to manage your
Yeah.
projects, your personal productivity, your team, and whatnot?
Yeah. So we use ClickUp for project management, and that's one area that High Level hasn't gone into yet. But you'll probably see us start building those types of stuff in
Yeah, I
2025.
heard Sean saying this like when we were last time, like, hey, you have everything other than project management. You're like, yeah, we might, you know.
We'll probably get there. I would imagine we'll get there around like Q1 of next year.
Hmm.
But I use the app I probably use the absolute most is called JumpShare. It's just
Hmm.
basically like a screenshot screen recording app where like as soon as you take the screenshot, it pops up and you can annotate it. And then when you hit save, it goes into your clipboard so you can just paste a link to the screenshot. And so
Hmm.
I use that 100 times a day, right? When I'm like, hey, we need more padding on this, like, and then I just throw it in Slack. So I use JumpShare like literally 100 times a day. Um, the other app that I really like and I use more and more is called Descript. I don't know if you've used that. It's
Hmm.
a video editing
Yeah,
app where you edit the text to edit the video. And it's really impressive and they keep making it better and better.
saves a lot of time. Yeah.
And so I use Descript more and more for sure. And yeah, I would say those are the two apps that I use the most,
Hmm.
no doubt.
Okay. Yep. Totally. And I'm
And like
curious, how
Photoshop,
does
I
your
use Photoshop a lot, I would say as well.
wow? You design the graphics most of the times.
No. But I know enough to be dangerous, and so I know enough to get a lot of small things done, right? Like resizing images and downscaling them and stuff like that. It just as a marketer, I would say being proficient in Photoshop has really served me well over the years because it saves
Wow.
so much time not having to rely on a graphic designer for
Somebody
everything.
else.
You can just go get it done yourself.
Yeah, like if you're having a 2 hour latency to getting an image done and you just have 10 things to be done, that's just like a whole day wasted. You're just waiting on something to happen. So I think that's
Yeah.
very important and good control overall. I mean, at least a basic one. So let's walk through your average day, Chase. Walk us through like when do you wake up, when do you sleep, what do you do in between?
Sure. I typically wake up. Well, I love to surf. So if there are going to be waves, I'll get up at 5 in the morning and I hit the road by 5:30 and I'm in the water around 5:45 and I'll surf for like an hour and a half, and then I get out. If I don't surf, then I take our kids to school at 7, and at 7 o'clock usually starts the first product call, so I'll hop on that, and then
Hmm.
there's usually another product call right after that. Um, and by that point, I'm home, and I'll probably like take a shower, come back, and start going through email and Slack. So my favorite part of the day is when I first hop into Slack, we have our release channel, our release notes channel, which is the new features or updates that have rolled out that day.
Hmm.
So that's like Christmas every morning. You get to see what's new, right? And you go through it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is finally live. And then you go
The
play with
dopamine.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a half an hour of like crazy dopamine hits, and then yeah, the first 2 hours from there are usually like going through Slack and answering conversation, following up on conversations and all of that, and then going through email and stuff. And then it's team meetings, one on ones, podcasts like this, webinars and stuff like that, and just trying to we're our team's getting bigger and bigger, and so my job is sort of to do less myself and then just make sure that everybody has what they need to do what they need to do, um, which is actually a bit of a transition to me because you have probably seen a lot of the
It'll
content
go,
that I've
yeah.
created over the years. And so I'm trying to do my best to transition away from like doing it all myself to building a team of folks that do it. And so that's been like the newest part of my journey, is really kind of trying to focus on making that transition.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine you might be feeling like, oh, I'm doing less because I'm delegating too much. But we have that go do it approach, right? Like, you just clear things over, get things done, and you hit the record button, do the podcast and whatnot. Now you got to use a team. And I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't imagine, I couldn't fathom having 200 employees working on a single software company. That just sounds like a robust,
Me either. I don't
yeah,
come from a big corporation world, and I never imagined that we would become a big corporation. So it's been a learning experience for sure, of having, to go from being able to just go do it yourself to like, no, actually, you'd most help the company if you could build 10 people that could do this, right? And then just give them what they need to do it at scale. So it's been really a crazy journey, right? And it's
yeah. You're breaking all the normal rules of building a software company. Hire expensive developers, create your prototype, and make sure it is perfect before you launch. Raise money, spend a lot on ads. You know, don't go
yeah,
organic. It doesn't work. You're just
yeah,
doing the opposite.
exactly.
I love that. And you're still winning. That's what surprises me. And you're continuing to do that with a good streak. I love that. So, okay, let's talk about this. Chase, if you could go back and talk to 20-year-old yourself, who's probably getting started in career and whatnot, what would be the number one advice you would give yourself?
Good question. Okay, so 20-year-old me, you know, I would probably just tell myself, You got this." Because so I went to college to be an English teacher, actually. So when I graduated, I taught high school English for about 2 years, and I just had this like burning feeling inside that I wasn't ready to commit the next 30 years of my life to that career. And so
Hmm.
I went on a road trip with a friend, and we were going to drive across the country and then from California to Costa Rica. And on that trip, I had to figure out how to make money along the way. And that's when I started online marketing. I got into the field then. Long story short, we got down to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. My charger broke. I couldn't unplug my computer. And so I was like, I got to order a new charger. And when it gets here, we can keep going. Well, it took 6 weeks for the thing to arrive. And by that point, we had fallen in love with Puerto Vallarta. So we ended up spending the rest of our 6 month trip there. And at the very end of that trip, I met my wife, and I've been here ever since. And part of me was felt like I was sacrificing opportunity by leaving the US, right? I had friends that
Mm.
went to San Francisco and did really well out there. And I kind of thought, man, like maybe I made, did I make the right decision and this and that? But I just sort of followed my gut and then look at what played out, right? Not only
Yeah.
do I work for a wildly successful SaaS company, I get to do it from the beach in Mexico, right? I didn't have to go to San Francisco to make it happen. So I would tell my 20-year-old self, like, hey, kid, that voice that you hear, like, it's a good one. Keep following it.
You got this. You got this. I mean, it's interesting. So, when were you like actually into surfing? I mean, you sound like you surf a lot. I mean, that's on your Instagram as well. So I'm curious. How was the passionate? How did you get passionate about it? And do you do like those big wave surfing? Like I've seen those, like the horrific 30 feet. That sounds like
No,
I'm scared to even think
I
about that
would
for a
be
moment.
scared of that as well. Yeah. No, every year. So I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and every year my grandmother used to take our whole family on a trip every summer to Ocean City, New Jersey. And I just loved the water and sort of taught myself to surf on a boogie board. And then when I was like 15 or 16,
Mm,
my great grandmother died, and my dad got a little bit of money from the inheritance, and he used that to buy a very modest little shack at the beach. And I'll never forget, actually, it was so cool. We were at the dinner table, my brother and I, and my parents were like, hey, we need to ask you guys how you would feel about something. And we're like, what? And they're like, as you know, your great grandmother passed away and blah, blah, blah. And we have this opportunity to buy a house at the beach, and it's in pretty rough shape. So, we're gonna have to spend a lot of time down there fixing it up. But like, what do you guys think? Would you be okay with that? And my brother and I were looking at each other like,
this is
what?
like
Of
party
course, this
time.
is amazing. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
house at the beach. Like, this is crazy. And so, yeah, I was like 15, I think, when that happened. And so I got to go to the beach a lot. And I think I got my first official surfboard when I was like 15. And yeah, it's just been something that I've loved my whole life. And I'm just so happy that I followed my heart, and it took me to a place where, I can go to surf every morning that there's waves and still, go to work and have a great career.
Yeah, I love that. Right time, right place. Lucky to see you here. That was definitely interesting. And if you could point out what would be like the biggest achievements you believe that happened in your career, and what is like the goal for you, the ultimate goal you're trying to achieve?
Man, that's a great question and a tough one for me to answer. I think it's funny. Um, because I can't speak for Sean and Robin and Varun, but they strike me as the same type of people. Like when we when we started, none of us really cared about titles. None of us cared about any of that stuff, and
Hmm.
we were all just like, let's go build something great.
Like guys in
And
the garage, right?
yeah, that really was like what it felt like. And
Yeah.
as we grew, we had to get a human resources department, and we had to create titles and all that kind of stuff. And it does become important at a certain scale,
Mm,
I would say.
yeah.
But I've never really had those types of goals. Like, I want to be the director of a $1 billion software company. I think my goals have more been around, could I actually stay in Mexico, right? Or am I going to have to make my family so weird when that happens. I think earlier in my life it was like, am I going to have to force my family to move to the United States even though they might not want to because it'll be
Mm,
best for my career. So when I got to the point when I realized no, we don't have to move if we don't want to. That was a really important milestone.
mm,
Being able to have kids and feel confident and comfortable. A really great moment in my life was when, which was so funny, my wife's dream car was a minivan. And the
wow.
day that I was able to buy her minivan was a really cool day in my life. So it's things like that, I think, that have been most important milestones in
Sure.
my life. And I'll give you one more that I'm stealing from a guy named Matt Decino, who's a big part of our community at HighLevel. And I
Mm,
was at an event, and he was talking about this type of stuff. And he's like, my goal is to raise children that still want to hang out with me when they no longer have to. I think he says kind, well adjusted kids that want to hang out with me when they no longer have to. And I always thought that was a really great goal. And I've sort of adopted that as well as a something to
Interesting.
always shoot for. You know, my oldest son is like he's 11 now. He'll be a teenager before we know it, and if he still wants to hang out with me when he's 16, I'll feel like I'm doing a pretty good job.
I mean, that's probably like the biggest goal for most fathers, to be around their children. And, luckily it happens to few and doesn't happen to most. And, I hope the best happens for you as well. So I'm stoked. If you could share one biggest mistakes you have done overall, which
Mm.
we all can probably avoid and save that mistake for ourselves, what would that be?
Ooh, good question. I don't know if it was a mistake. It was just a lesson that I learned at some point along the way, and I think
Hmm.
I might answer two of your questions in one. I think you mentioned that you like to ask people about books. When
Yeah.
I was running the agency with Matt, um, I didn't know myself and my role. I hadn't spent enough time thinking that through, and then I read that book called Rocket Fuel, which is somewhere on my
Hmm.
shelf over there.
Hmm.
And, you know, the EOS method of like visionary integrator. And that book really solidified a lot of things for me. And I was like, I'm an integrator. And we actually have this dynamic, Matt, because you are a visionary salesperson, CEO type. And there are actually some boundaries here that this book really maps out very clearly. And it
Hmm.
actually empowers the integrator to make the final decision. And that
Hmm.
was a really important moment for me because it gave me the confidence to speak more strongly about the things that I thought were correct and the way things should
Hmm.
actually work and the decisions that we were making. And so I wish I'd found that book earlier in my career. And I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs haven't figured out who they are, right? I think there are a lot of integrators trying to build a company on their own when really they
Yeah.
need to find a visionary to
The right
partner with.
visionary.
And the
Yeah.
faster that they can do that, the more success they're going to have. That's something that I talk about a lot when I give talks these days is to figure out who you are as fast as possible because the quicker you do, the quicker you'll realize what your strengths are and what you should be looking for in a partner or an important hire for your business.
Yeah, yeah. And I think everybody learns this the hard way. At least most of the people I've actually spoken to, who are multimillionaire entrepreneurs and whatnot, they realize this lately overall. I have been the visionary all my life and, I was always struggling, I'm so messy. How can I get things to make actually like into actions? And that's when I thought about like, oh, we should build a team who is sophisticated enough to take things and do it. And I shouldn't try to do everything myself. And yeah, it was definitely a game changer. Appreciate you sharing that advice.
Well, and that is a big mistake, right? So when I said way back in the beginning that I introduced myself as a failed agency CEO, that's true because that agency, me and my partner were both operators. So you don't want to found a
No
business
visionaries.
with the same
Yeah.
as you because that's a recipe for disaster. So that is a lesson that I learned the hard way for sure.
Mm, great. And now you have a team who has a clear vision. The founders have absolutely a clear vision here, and you got to just supplement there, with your marketing skill set and the enthusiasm you bring to the table. So I'm stoked for that overall. Yeah, like what inspires you, Chase? Like, why do you wake up every day? What makes you get up and get to work? What's your motivation to live the life?
To live my life is, to just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I feel pretty good about where I'm at, living at the beach and all of that. What drives me to wake up and hop on the computer is honestly the tool. I'm in, high level is the Swiss Army knife for any marketer and any
Yeah,
business. And so just get super excited every day to make it better and better because someday I'll retire and then I'll build a new business and it'll all be built on high level. So I feel like I'm literally like putting time in to benefit my future and everybody else's future along the way. So it's a pretty rewarding thing to get to do.
I love that. That's beautifully answered. And I'm curious, the ultimate vision for high level, again, you can just make this answer up. It doesn't need to be perfect. Where do you see this? Are you trying to disrupt the enterprise CRM companies as well in the next 10 years? Is that like the aim, or are you trying to be in the SMB segment or like the, small company segment and be the go-to marketing tool? Like, where do you see this tool playing out in the next 10 years?
Yeah, for sure. Um, We don't have any plans to compete at the enterprise level. We love small businesses, local businesses, and that's really where we want to play. And we want to be the best tool, the best platform, the best OS for that market. 10 years is a long time, especially in tech. So,
In software, yeah. You don't
I
know
don't
what
know what the
happens in 10
future
years.
holds. I think it would be pretty cool for us to go public at some point. Like I just think that would be a rewarding moment for a lot of the team members to see.
Yeah. All the hard
Um,
work.
yeah, but I think the next 3, 5 years is just going to be business as usual, right? Like we're just going to keep chugging, keep building a better product, and it's hard to really forecast past that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially in tech, I can imagine how difficult it is, definitely. Now, any last word before we conclude the whole show?
No, thanks for having me. I think, hopefully if you are a marketer, if you're just getting started, I think, and you haven't checked out High Level, give it a try, right? I think you'll be just be amazed at all the tools at your disposal. You really have all the tools that you need um, to make money, build a living, build your own business, be your own boss by helping other businesses, right? And I think that's why I love what we do, right? We serve agencies who then serve their community, the businesses in their community. It's been a pleasure for me to personally be able, like my brother-in-law just opened a bar that's like a taco cantina type of thing in Guadalajara. Over the weekend I built their website in like an hour. And it's just so cool to be able to do that and how pumped they were, right? And they're so excited that I built it and had it live, and it's just like, yeah, with High Level, that's like a breeze. And so it's just really fun. And I hope everybody else is enjoying it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for it too. Like when we used to build marketing systems back in 21 or 2020, especially before high level was like our thing, it was a million tools to be used and 2, 3 thousand monthly recurring revenue on like sorry recurring payments to all these crazy softwares, and then we had all these logins and complications, and the tech would break, the zaps would fail. It was just nuts. And now life is so easy. So life is so easy with high level. I can definitely vouch for it. So thank you so much for being a part of building this amazing tool. And if somebody wants to get started, they should probably just go check out highlevel.com, to just get their free trial on it. And other than that, Chase, thank you so much for jumping on. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and thank you so much for sharing a lot of stories behind the scenes, and all the journey you've gone through high level, and how you're actually integrating your expertise into this company and building probably one of the most valuable software companies we'll ever see in the next 20 years. I'm calling it. So I'm stoked overall. And guys, hope you enjoyed a lot from this podcast episode. And if you want to try high level, go to just highlevel.com and sign up for it and join their Facebook group. High Level has an amazing community. You post a question, they respond in minutes, which is kind of surprising to me most of the times. And you'll see Chase a lot making content, being in the community, and Sean, of course, obviously. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. There's a lot of learnings from this podcast, so don't just this be a motivational talk. Take a few actionable steps like signing up for high level or building your first website or launching your first automation campaign or doing things which Chase was talking about, like building a good culture in the team and being product first instead of revenue first and that type of things, and go execute because information excites you, action gives you the result. So I hope this podcast inspired you to the next, and I will be back with another amazing guest just like Chase on this show. So subscribe and share this with your friends. Thank you, Chase, for jumping on once again.
Thanks so much for having us. See you, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one. Bye bye.